that our tax policies in the state of Connecticut have not generated revenue and has had the opposite effect. The wait-and-see approach, I think, that appropriations has taken is a big mistake, given where we are as a state. But I also think we're also in a dangerous situation, frankly, of passing these packages out without being out of balance, or without being in balance, and potentially letting this document go behind closed doors. I think that this institution does its best work when it's open and transparent, and unfortunately, we are headed down the same path of putting this document behind closed doors in the hands of leadership, where some pretty bad decisions possibly could be made, reminding again of the tax that caused GE to move out of the state of Connecticut, and a digital download tax that potentially caused many individual businesses to express concern. I understand, I guess there's been a lot of discussion over collecting sales tax revenue. I don't understand this correlation between credit cards and sales tax payments. Businesses pay sales tax based on items or services they provide that is subject to sales tax. Whether that money comes in via credit card, check, or cash, and it's remitted to the state. Yes, people are using credit cards more, but because a credit card is used doesn't mean that a sales tax obligation is created. So we're going to be asking DRS to collect, I don't even know how much data, millions of pages of data from companies that are deposited into their bank accounts from all over this country for sales that may or may not even be subject to sales tax. As a small business owner that has credit card machines, I know how these statements come in. They are blanket statements with numbers. They don't say what that sale is. They don't say whether it's subject to sales tax. Those numbers aren't broken out necessarily. It's broken out by the retailer. So to create this level of reporting, I think, is unnecessarily putting a financial burden on the state of Connecticut with no information that we're going to garnish that's going to help us discover anything. And I don't know what impact that has on federal laws. I don't particularly feel really comfortable right now that potentially the constituents in my district, their businesses are going to be subject to having their financial data being disseminated by a third party to the government. We talk about these issues of data privacy with students, and it's through the Education Committee, and we're going to turn around and potentially open this up, which to me is troubling and problematic. You know, there are two things that my father always told me. You're going to die and you have to pay taxes. So the state of Connecticut imposes fees on people who die. Well, it's pretty incredible now we're going to start imposing fees on people who need to pay taxes. The thought of requesting now retailers to have to pony up yet another fee might not look like a lot of money, but it's a nuisance. The amount of certificates that we have to maintain in our businesses that you get through the mail. I mean, I just received my liquor permit today, and I got to rush off to town hall and get it stamped and pay that fee after paying consumer protection. Then you have to get the fire marshal in for an inspection. You have to go to the Department of Health and get your inspection. Yeah, I get these things are necessary. The thought now that now you're going to have to pay another fee, that if you don't pay it, your sales tax certificate expires. Not sure what the impact that's going to be. I just don't think that's good policy. I mean, we're going to impose a fee on people to pay their personal property taxes in the state of Connecticut. I don't think that would fly very well. But I think we need to remember that these businesses are our constituents. And just because the business may not be able to vote, the employers and the employees can vote. And we have to stop this predatory nature that we could nickel and dime these companies and they're going to be happy. The climate in this state stinks. And this small little, from our perspective, a $24 million policy, the impact that that is going to have when I go home to my district and tell them that they're going to have to pay a sales tax fee is it's embarrassing. And lastly, the gap financing. I was really concerned when we implemented that, the gap bonds. And I know we have that $1.3 billion gap deficit. People need to understand that that was a soft debt that the state of Connecticut owed to itself. When we issued those bonds, we turned that soft debt that meant nothing, essentially, it was on paper, to a hard debt, an actual obligation that the state of Connecticut now has to pay. And when we made that decision, we said to the rating agencies, we are going to right our ship, and we shined the light on that policy. The rating agencies are looking at that. They see that that's an obligation of the state of Connecticut. And I remember on the floor when that bill came out, and I had asked those questions, are we going to meet these obligations? Are we going to hold true to Statute 3-20I, which is where these provisions lie, of making sure that we amortize that debt and we continue to budget that debt through the entire life through 2028? And the answers were yes. And now today we're going to delay all of those payments. And I think, you know, it's more than just a broken promise in the state of Connecticut. These decisions are going to have real financial impacts for the state of Connecticut. So I could continue to raise concerns with other pieces of this, but I just think I don't get it. These policies were not before us in public hearings. Don't know why we have to put these into documents without more broader conversation. It leaves us who are in the dark, in the minority party on some of these decision makings, to come out now swinging, and it's just the wrong way to set the tone. Someday, hopefully, we will have all these discussions in the light of day, and Connecticut will start putting its best foot forward.